Steve Knight is a human, which makes him somewhat abnormal in a city of elves, trolls, and wood nymphs. He doesn't let this affect his job as a police detective, however. This may all change, though, when a close friend mysteriously disappears and things suddenly become personal. To make matters worse, the city is under threat from an unknown but powerful new enemy no one's encountered before. Can Knight find his companion before it's too late and solve his biggest case yet, or will the sheer scale of it all bring him down, and the city along with him? It was a grey evening following a sunny day. I walked into the Elfstar pub and sat at the bar, where I was just as at home as the tip jar. Some people say I have a problem with alcohol. What they don't understand is that I've got plenty of problems, and alcohol goes well with all of them. It was a bad week and a bad month, and everyone was in a bad mood. It was hot then, blistering, not like the freezing wind and relentless rain today. You could cook an egg on the sidewalk, but only if you could stomach to eat off the filthiest table in the world. The heat wasn't the only thing rising, though. Tensions were high. Even the friendliest people were getting grouchy, and no one could blame them. People were being rushed to the hospital every day from heat stroke, and it was beginning to look like the wave wouldn't pass until somebody had died. And that's exactly what happened. I found my man relaxing in his pool. Only thing is, I don't know of too many people who relax face down. The water looked cool and refreshing compared to the stifling heat. Drowning in your own private pool wasn't such a bad way to go that summer, in the relative sense. Now, in addition to a kidnapping, I had a murder on my hands. Homicide is an entirely different beast, though. Kidnappings are all business, done for money or leverage. Murder is a lot like making love. Sure, you could hire someone for it, but the best work is always personal. Intimate. It's a messy business, but it's human nature. So long as there are two people alive in the world, you can bet that one of two things is gonna happen, if not both. Murder is a crime of passion, like a drunken fight, a violent outburst, or an affair. It was getting late, and the sun was going down faster than a snitch being lit up with a couple of choppers. With all three leads gone colder than the bitter night, I decided to go back home. I rolled over and gazed out my window. It was raining again, like all the sylphs and seraphim decided to take a piss on the city at once. I awoke testily and carried on with my usual pursuits, thinking, drinking, moping. I looked out the narrow window onto a gray city beneath a gray sky. It's days like that make a man think to himself. Those nutjobs were going to try to open a portal to the infernal plane and bring the Arbiter of Flame into ours. I had less than 3 days to stop them. If I failed, the entire world would likely be destroyed in a storm of hellfire until nothing but cinder remained. No pressure. Part of being a detective is blending in. One of my instructors at the academy used to say, become a chameleon and you can become anything. At a place like Three Trolls, I'd blend in like a chameleon in a cat shelter. It was the kind of place where a guy like me could get killed if he wasn't careful. I reached into my pocket and took out an object of great personal importance, my pearl-handled switchblade. I was told the blade was forged from star metal and fluxed with pixie dust. Though this claim is as trustworthy as a newspaper submarine, in practical terms it just means the steel has a slightly higher than normal nickel and iridium content, and the flux is just an oxide barrier that burns out in the forge. Metallurgy is not the way to view this object, though. These special materials imbue this knife with magical properties, enhancing it. On the other hand, the same effect could be achieved by letting a fairy sneeze on it. Enchantment has been somewhat disenchanted. I idly ran my finger along the runes carved in the bevel of my desk as I ran over the Hightower case in my mind another countless time. There used to be a bar down the street, and it had a pool table. One day, a couple of young wizards thought they were being clever by hustling the games using the cues as wands. The next morning, the owner had a freelance mage come up with a router and engrave anti-magic runes along the rails. That evening, the wizards showed up again and got hustled right back. Like most small businesses, though, the bar failed within its first year, and one day I saw the table out on the curb like a Yule tree on New Year's Day. I didn't have room in my tiny office for it, but I did pry the rails off. Now I was using them as edging for my desk. Magic to stop other magic. Such practical magic, magic with a purpose. Take one step back, though, and you begin to wonder, in the grand scheme of things, what's the point? It was just about that time the woman made her debut. My door opened and she strolled into my office like fog creeps over a rocky moonlit shore. Elven good looks, red hair, and legs for days, she could give a succubus a run for her money, but she had bad news written all over her like a front-page headline. Her eyes burned like cigarettes, and they smoldered little holes into my mask of stoicism the longer we held eye contact. I was still a young man then, and she made my blood pound the way a woman like her does with young men. The elves have a word for a woman like her, but in English it's closest to a woman to die for. I was younger then, naive. Come to think of it, that was half my life ago. If I'd known then what I know now, I don't know, I've never thought about it. As I lay there, betrayed, literally stabbed in the back and bleeding out on the rug, it may sound trite, but my life flashed before my eyes. Scenes from my early childhood all the way up to the pearl-handled switchblade piercing my lung. I had time to think back on my life and contemplate my highs and lows. I considered what I might do differently, given another go at the whole fiasco. Hindsight is the mother of all good ideas. Anyone trying to tell you otherwise never learned from a mistake. I thought about it for a bit, and I believed my first mistake was going into this business at all. Needless to say, I did not die that night. Now, roughly 3 decades later, I can say with greater certainty, yes, going into this business was my first mistake. I was defeated. I had lost. In less than 9 hours, the eclipse would begin, and then it would all end. Long, hot tongues of orange flame flicked out and steadily grew longer and longer, lapping at the fresh night air like some thirsty beast at a watering hole. The plumes of smoke and ribbons of flame extended and wriggled from the supernatural orifice in the sky, flailing like the searching tendrils of some eldritch monster. The intruder grew larger and larger, grasping at more and more of this realm. I looked upon the end, given flesh and flame, and I knew this was the final chapter. There could be no remaining question as I gazed into the giant, fiery eye. If I had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great, and would suffice. I quoted Frost. I wasn't feeling particularly clever at the time to come up with something original. The rain poured down in buckets, and the wind howled like a wolf who'd lost his pack. The asphalt streets slick with rain reflected the city back up at itself like a dark mirror, and the yellow street lamps blazed through the rising mist, each one a small lighthouse on this cold and endless sea of night. It was a gray evening following a dark day. I walked down the empty road alone and thought to myself in silence. I contemplated my place in the universe, doomed to be quickly forgotten by the world I'd given up everything to save. Yes, there I was, a man totally alone in this mad, imperfect world.